Okay, so in this video I'm going to basically demonstrate how you can create a little bit more advanced cinematography out of your Crazy Talk Animator animations. And basically this particular project begins after you've actually created a scene. And the trick to creating a good scene is not to focus so much on your camera movements. Focus more on the performance itself. So let me go here real quick, and I'm going to delete my camera angles, because the camera angles is something that you should pretty much do after your scene is complete or your shot. So here you have an entire performance without a camera move. I'm going to zoom out of it real quick, get out of this mode because I just finished exporting. Let's see. And basically we have Billy here, and he's going to be performing a little something by Michael Jackson. And all I did as far as creating the scene is concerned, I only focused on the mouth and some of the eye movements and stuff. As far as the body animation, I just dropped in a couple of random predefined animations, such as the faint animation and stuff like that. So we have something that looks like this.
When I had you, I dreamt to be and wrong, my dear.
And you'll notice there's a little overlapping there with the hands. I'm not worried about that because this is not for an actual project. I just wanted to get something done.
Don't you know I sit around with my head hanging down, and I wonder who.
Okay, so that's basically the sequence, and the trick to this next step is that once you have your entire sequence, you keep it exactly the same. At this point, you'll create different camera movements. So I can come in here and I can create a pan, for example. I'm gonna go ahead and set up my camera, and let's see here. Let's kind of give them a nice placement. We're going to go ahead and use the rule of thirds. We're going to place them on this end here and move to the end of our sequence, and I'm going to have him be on this side, 1/3 ratio there. Maybe even zoom in a little bit, so we'll do a dolly and a pan at the same time. So now we'll go back, and that was my phone. We'll go back and we'll hit play on it real quick. So we have a nice little subtle camera movement that looks like this for the entire sequence. And as long as the sequence is done, like for the entirety, you're gonna be okay. So the trick to this is to export as many camera moves as you would like to work with. Personally, I like to do 3 or 4 because that gives me a little bit of a variety. So I've already gone ahead and exported my sequences that I want to use. Here I have a pan, a dolly in shot, a close-up, and a close-up pan shot. And the close-up pan shot is very subtle. It starts from the right, it moves to the left, and it maintains that close-up. So I'm just kind of focusing it on the face and forwarding it a little bit. So we end up with like that. So the entire thing is a close-up and a pan at the same time. I also have a close-up shot, which is just a steady shot. It doesn't move. It's focused basically just on his face and the upper body. Then we have a dolly in shot, which is basically kind of like a zooming in, but the camera itself is going towards the actor. And lastly, we have our pan shot, which is basically just panning from right to left while maintaining that that far away shot. Okay, so now that we have that, I mean, these shots are exactly the same length. I haven't modified them. The same action is taking place in all 4 of the shots. So I'm going to be using Adobe Premiere, and you can pretty much use whatever video software, nonlinear editor software that you can get your hands on, as long as it supports multiple layers. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to create a new timeline with it. Okay, so there's my close-up pan shot. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to take a regular close-up. I'm going to do it there. My dolly in shot, I'm going to do it there. And let's see, my regular pan, I'm going to put that there. If you're using a regular editor, oh well, the other thing that you gotta think about is that you only really need one vocal or one sound layer. So get rid of any sound layers that you don't really need, and just leave one in there. That way you don't have this crazy overlapping. Alright, so now what you do is, like in professional television and cinematography in general also, it's a very common practice to change your camera angle every 3, 4, maybe even 6 seconds, depending on the drama or the situation that's taking place, or the amount of emphasis you want to give a particular camera angle. But in general, it's usually about 3 to 4 seconds. If you look at any kind of television, just kind of pay attention to how often they change the cameras, and you'll notice it's every 3 to 4 seconds or so. So if you want to have some kind of technical way of knowing when to change cameras. So here I'm going to zoom in. I'm not really being very technical about it. I'm just going to split it right there using my cut symbol, my cut tool. I'm going to switch back to that. So I've basically taken that, cut it, and my camera all of a sudden switches to that one. But I don't want to switch to that particular angle, so I'm going to cut here. Let's see. So I'm dollying in, and then I'm switching over to my regular close-up, so that'll work fine. And again, let's see here, cut. Alright, so again, at this point I want to switch to my my pan for my long view, my that kind of shot. So now I have that, and then at this point I want to be able to switch back to my close-up pan, which I haven't shown yet. Let's see here, unlink. I'm just going to extend the audio of that as much as I can, so it'll be by itself. That'll work. Okay, so now when we play it, we have a little bit of variety.
When I had you, I dreamt to be and wrong, my dear, and God sins.
Okay, so you'll need to play around with the actual angles that you want if you're doing it all manually like this. But another trick that I like to use is, like, and particularly if you're using, if you are using Premiere, is that you can take this this timeline that you created. I'm gonna rename it Original. I'm just gonna leave it intact like that. Make sure this is unlinked, and I'm going to create a new timeline. Let's see here, I'll do it that way. And basically I have my original timeline embedded inside of another one, and I'm going to call this one New, and I'm going to select the embedded one. I'm going to switch to Enable Multi-Camera. So at this point I have to look for my little button here. Let's see here, I think this is it. I'll put it right there. And this is my multi-camera monitor inside of Premiere. Now I'm not sure if a lot of other software use this feature, but basically with this feature enabled, I can use my keyboard keys, for example, camera 1, camera 2, 3, and 4. So really all I have to do is hit play and hit the appropriate key whenever I want to switch to the camera that I want. So I'm going to start with camera 1, and I'm just gonna go from there as it plays. And I'm basically editing it in real time. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay, that's a pretty decent edit. I noticed that my sound didn't come in, so I have to go in here and kind of see what happened. And it doesn't really matter because it's all the same size. All I have to do is copy it and bring it in here. Let's see, paste. As long as it's the same size, you don't have to worry about synchronizing. Of course, now that everything is nicely edited, I can also go in here and adjust the duration by moving these little markers either to the left or to the right, depending on how much I want to extend that particular camera angle. So here, for example, I'm gonna move this down a little bit. Okay, and this is basically what I ended up with. Let's watch it now. Let's see here. Let's turn that off just so we can kind of focus on that.
When I had you, I dreamt to be and wrong, my dear. And God, since you've been away, don't you know I sit around with my head